Some of the most important lessons in life aren't taught in school. They aren't on a syllabus. They aren't in textbooks, and they aren't graded. They're lived, they're felt, and they're discovered by those who dare to step outside the ordinary. You've been told, go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, invest in the stock market, and eventually, maybe someday, you'll be secure. But let me tell you this, that advice is obsolete. It worked in a world that no longer exists. Why save money when governments are printing trillions of dollars? Why trust that your paycheck is a safe path when inflation and taxes slowly erode it? Inside every one of us, there exists three voices: the poor voice, the middle class voice, and the rich voice. The poor voice wants safety. The middle class voice wants security. And the rich voice? It wants freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, life freedom. But no one teaches us how to cultivate the rich voice. No one tells us that the rules are different, and that's where the real journey begins. Let me tell you a story. When I was young, my rich dad refused to pay me a paycheck. Imagine that. No paycheck. My poor dad was furious. He said, you have to pay your employees. You must earn a paycheck. But my rich dad had a different lesson in mind. He said, the paycheck is the most dangerous thing you can accept in your life. The moment you take a paycheck, you become an employee. You trade time for money. You work for someone else's system. And that changed everything for me. Because as an entrepreneur, you don't need a paycheck. You create your own income. You control your own destiny. If one venture fails, you start another. If your environment isn't favorable, you adapt, you move, you innovate, you create. The mindset, the skill sets, and the rules for entrepreneurs are entirely different. I remember my last day at Xerox. I was handed a bonus check, $30,000 taxable. I was thrilled and terrified at the same time. My colleague looked at me and said, "You're going to be back." He failed in his business and returned to the corporate world. But I had a mindset that said, I will fail if I must, but I will never go back. I will never depend on a paycheck again. And that is the lesson. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. Each time you stumble, each time you fall, you are refining yourself. You are learning faster than any book, faster than any lecture could teach you. And if you fear failure, you will never reach your potential. Now let's talk about passion. True passion is not just liking something. It's the fire that wakes you up at 3 a.m. with ideas you can't ignore. It's the feeling that you would work even if no one paid you. Without passion, work becomes effort. With passion, work becomes art. But passion alone isn't enough. You must act. Dreams without action are illusions. The first step is always the hardest. Start imperfectly. Start small. Start today. Momentum builds, and what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Debt. Another misunderstood concept. Most people are told, get out of debt. But the rich use debt as a tool. They leverage it. They understand the rules of money, taxes, and leverage. Debt and taxes, when understood and applied correctly, make the rich richer. They also expose the unprepared. And this is where financial education becomes vital. After Vietnam, my rich dad told me, go to school, not for a degree, but to learn how to invest in real estate. And it wasn't just about property. It was about using debt and taxes to multiply wealth. While most people struggle with savings that lose value to inflation, the right use of debt allows you to acquire assets and build financial freedom. Here's a reality check. Most people focus on the external economy, the stock market, the job market, interest rates. Entrepreneurs focus on the internal economy, mindset, decisions, actions, character. Control your internal economy and the external one becomes manageable. Consider this. If you base your life on a paycheck, a market crash or job loss is catastrophic. But if you are an entrepreneur, your mindset allows you to see opportunities in crises. The rules are different. The mindset is different. The skills are different. Many chase high-paying jobs for security, but security is an illusion. The world changes. The printing of money, inflation, new technologies, economic cycles, they all change the rules. True freedom comes from mastering money, mindset, and risk. You adapt, you leverage, you innovate. You control what you can, you accept what you cannot, and you thrive anyway. I want you to understand this. Real wealth is not just income. It's freedom of time, freedom of choice, and the ability to create your own reality. If you want to think like the rich, stop trading time for money, learn the rules of debt and taxes, focus on controlling your internal economy, fail fast, learn faster, and never fear mistakes. Surround yourself with people who challenge and elevate you, and take calculated risks and embrace discomfort. Let's talk numbers. Doctors, lawyers, employees, many earn high incomes but are heavily taxed. One friend of mine earned $1 million but paid $750,000 in taxes. That's the 99% dilemma. Meanwhile, smart entrepreneurs leverage rules, invest strategically, and reduce liabilities legally to grow wealth. You see, the difference is mindset. An employee thinks about security. A self-employed person may think about survival, but a true entrepreneur thinks strategically, acts decisively, and always maintains control over the internal economy. The external economy may be volatile. Stock market crashes, inflation, economic cycles, but the mindset allows you to thrive regardless. Obsolete ideas, school, paycheck, saving, getting out of debt, traditional investing no longer work the same way. Moore's law shows us information doubles every 18 months. Knowledge becomes outdated fast. Education is essential, but the system hasn't evolved. Most graduates are obsolete by the time they finish. Entrepreneurs see opportunity where others see fear. They understand that mistakes, setbacks, and failures are simply part of growth. Every challenge is a test. Will you adapt, innovate, and overcome? Or will you be consumed by fear, inaction, and outdated thinking? So ask yourself, are you operating from a poor mindset, a middle-class mindset, or a rich mindset? Are you waiting for security, or are you creating freedom? Are you working for money, or is money working for you? Remember this, your financial future depends on knowledge, mindset, courage, and action. The world will keep printing money. Inflation and taxes will continue, but if you master these rules, you can thrive in any economy. This is your life, your opportunity, your mind, your moment. Stop following obsolete rules. Step into the mindset of real wealth. Take control, act strategically, and create a life of freedom, choice, and impact. If this message resonates, hit like, share, and subscribe to Limitless Spark. Comment below, what mindset will you adopt today? How will you take control of your internal economy?